Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I was doing a little test for my own purposes and thought that I should probably bring you guys along and show you what I'm doing. So, over the course of the last couple of months, I haven't done a lot of loading for 9mm. And my hand-loaded stash is getting down to the level where I need to load some more. And I can't quite remember if I was at 5 grains of CFE pistol, if I was at 5.2, or if I was kind of favoring that middle ground around 5.1. So, I'm going to go ahead and just throw 5.1, because that's what I think I was doing. If I'm not hitting my velocity target of between 1050 and 1080, then I'll adjust it then. But the second test that we're going to be shooting concurrently is about the brass. So I sorted out several pieces of brass, and we're going to do Federal brass here. We're going to do Remington brass and Winchester, and maybe we'll even throw in some Blazer. And we're all loading this on a single stage press. So right now I'm going through and sizing everything exactly the same, sizing the Federal brass right now. And it's what we're going to use to do the initial little bit of tweaking to get the load set. So I've got 10 pieces of Federal brass prepped there. Let me go ahead and size 5 of the Remington. 2, 3, 4, and 5. That one already had the primer popped out. Now this Remington brass is the type with the rounder case head. I'm sure you guys that have looked at 9mm brass know that Remington brass, or the RP marked, Remington Peters I believe is what that stands for, can be just a little bit different. Here's up close, here is a Federal case and a Remington case to look at. You can see it's just a little more rounded looking on the edge there. Pretty much the same. I've always had them shoot exactly the same. No problems whatsoever. So that's what we have got today. I'm not going to show you guys the powder measuring and all that. We've done that before. I am going to throw everything on my powder thrower here at the set charge, because it can actually throw them a little more consistently than I probably even can on the powder scale. So I'm going to get that dialed in, throw all the charges the same at 5.1 grains here, and we're going to get out to the chronograph and we'll get these shot before we lose light. I shot this test and got it all on video, all of that, and then I realized that my point of aim over the chronograph was changing my velocity numbers, because I wasn't shooting at a target, just kind of into a log. So today I'm actually going to shoot at a target so that I have the same point of impact. I've got 5 magazines to load up. You'll notice there are more rounds here than before. I now have Federal, Remington, Blazer, Winchester, and Fiocchi brass, the GFL Headstamp, all in the test. So we have 5 different types of brass to compare here. So I'm going to load these up into magazines and we will get out and shoot them. Man, I should have grabbed my mag loader. By the end of 50 rounds there, my thumbs are sore. Before we get out and shoot these, I think I forgot to mention, we are using the Extreme 124 grain plated bullets. I really like these things. They work extremely well, as the name suggests. And even through this whole COVID thing, they've been pretty available. So that's nice. These are what I have the most of, and these are pretty much exclusively what I use for target shooting. I did use the Berries 124 grain plated before, and they worked great. But I'm on these now. For primers, they are so hard to come by that we're just not going to use them. All right, folks, we are out here at my log that I shoot into. I do have a target set up down there. The gun we are shooting with today is the CZ P10C, my favorite striker-fired polymer handgun. It does have a 4-inch barrel, so those are the numbers we're going to be working with today. Starting with the Federal brass. Conditions for today. It is overcast and misting just slightly, but the light condition is very even. Pardon the ducks again in the background. The light condition is very even, so I'm hoping we'll get consistent numbers across all 50 shots. All right, so like I said, I'm going to stand in the same place and shoot fairly slowly, all 50 rounds, and I will have to change strings in between, but I'll mark my spot so that I can go right back to it. Let's get this shot. All right, the target is at 10 yards. My chronograph is at about 5, right in between. Let's get shooting. All right, it picked up all 10 of those shots. Looks like our velocities kind of went from 1010 to 1070, so not quite as consistent as I would like there. That was with the Federal brass. Next up, 10 shots with the Remington brass. Look at my spot here, make sure I'm in the same spot. Okay, and you might have noticed the slide did not lock back on the last shot. That's because my thumb rides right on that slide stop, unfortunately, but it just does that. So I'm gonna have to try to train myself out of riding my thumb right on that slide stop, but that's just kind of how it is for now. Blazer brass. Winchester brass. All right, and we're gonna wrap it up here pretty quickly because it is starting to rain more heavily. We have got Fiocchi brass. All right, there is that. Of course, the rain has stopped in that group. Let's get back into the bench and we'll look over these numbers a little bit. Just a quick look at the target here. That is 50 shots, and I was not holding for the best accuracy I could possibly make. And you can see when my trigger slaps were a little jerky, I had some kind of low left in here, but for the most part, they went right into here. I was using a 6 o'clock hold, and this gun sights at this range should be dead on, but I was using a 6 o'clock just for consistency, and you can see that the majority of my shots were right in there. All right, so here's what we got written out on old gnarly paper. What we got for the Federal, average 1029, Remington average 1044, Blazer average 1023, Winchester average 1032, and Fiocchi average 1035. These are all pretty close, especially when you consider the extreme spread. I don't know if the extreme spreads and standard deviations are actually related to the brass in this test, or if it's just that our 10-shot groups are not capturing maybe what a, say, 50-shot group would in terms of extreme spread. This is not a super statistically tight shooting load, that is for sure. So we're not worrying about these too much today, except that they basically tell me that all of these are almost the same. We only had one of these shoot into the 1040s on average, and yes, that could be a brass difference, but even if we do have that 20 feet per second difference between this and this, I am not going to worry about it at all with 9mm pistol loads. The question that this all brings up is, should you load mixed brass with 9mm? And my answer is absolutely yes. I do load mixed brass with 9mm. It would take way too long to sort all of this, and this is only about 700 or so pieces here. It would take way too long to sort out all of this for the tiny differences we get in numbers. Like I said, even if this is 20 feet per second difference, in the grand scheme of things, when we're getting SDs of around 20 feet per second, I'm not worried about it. The difference in the brass to me is not worth sorting. So that is the conclusion of this video. I admit that I was a little bit biased going into it because I have been not sorting my 9mm brass for a long time, and I certainly didn't want to start. For those few that have watched to the end of the video, I made a crack earlier about not using primers because they were too hard to come by and too expensive. Well, of course, we were using the CCI number 500 small pistol primers, and I do have a couple thousand of these left, thankfully, and hopefully, if things go well, we may be seeing some back in stock and accessible at semi-normal prices. Like hopefully 50 bucks a brick is what I'm hoping for. I know that you used to be able to get them for 23, 25 bucks a brick. I'm thinking between 45 and 50 bucks a brick is about what we're going to see. Because that is what is popping up occasionally for just a few minutes at a time on the AmmoSeek search right now. Anyway, guys, that's about all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to drop them down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and go ahead and subscribe over on Patreon. That will help us out do lots more tests in the future. Again, guys, thanks for watching, and y'all have a good one.